Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great evening last night, and I hope you are having a great day today. Then, in this video, I wanted to give a quick shot at the initial design for what I'm calling a floating toolbar. And when I noticed certain interfaces, they'll have a toolbar. Let's say over here they'll have like a toolbar, and then they'll have the list. The list could be a plugin list. It's really any list. These libraries, especially this one here, is not really designed specifically for games. It's just a utilities library that can be used for technically almost any application, just to kind of simplify and speed up development, code development, because a lot of the methods are canned. But so it can be any kind of list, and usually they'll have a toolbar over here, and it'll have certain options on it. So I thought, okay, cool. Well, all I really have to do is just put a control there. Put whatever this control is, which in this case happens to be a list view. It's a custom list view, but it's a list view. And I'm going to put another control right on top of that. So for, the control I'm going to put on there, which is going to be a toolbar, that actually become, this is its parent. So wherever this goes, the toolbar goes with it. And that allows for multiple toolbars to exist. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. I think I had a little bit of a early kind of a preview, and this is just kind of a working model, at least up until this point. I did a little bit of the graphics work I was talking about. I haven't really visited these particular list views yet, but it's coming. But I did do the graphics for the toolbar. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up real quick and show you. Now this is kind of like a working prototype. So as you can see, it's a toolbar. It does have a custom background. Part of the graphics I'm working on, and I have implemented it in the toolbar control, is if you have a what I'm calling a backdrop. For example, in your desktop, you have like wallpaper. So I'm just calling it a backdrop. It's the same thing. So if you have a backdrop, it'll actually draw, like, let's say the backdrop is the size of the full screen, and this is the section on the screen where this particular control sits. That is that part of that image. So in a sense, if you open another one over here, you'll literally see that this is the image a little bit further over. And, this kind of it's almost like it looks like a puzzle piece, really. But, like, down here in this particular area, in any kind of background, it's gonna actually have the puzzle pieces. I don't know how it's gonna look. Right now, the interface is really clean, so I don't know how that's going to make it look. It may have to be something where I either have to, quote, quote, "dampen" the luma of the image in real time, or I'm gonna need to just create a dampened image in, let's say, GIMP, which is kind of like a free image editor in GIMP, and then just not only dampen it, but literally reduce the number of pixels. So it's more of a it has less colors and it's more of a shaded image. So it'd be like a gray map or a gray tone. I might even be able to apply whatever the base color is. I think I can actually apply a base color on top of it with a certain opacity, and it'll tint the image with whatever a base color is. So let's say in Skyrim this is a base blue. Okay, so but back to the toolbars. So, what I did to test it is I took options from over here because they are the exact same option. And to see this, this is where it is. It's the exact same option here. See the toolbar menu? Let me make sure you can actually see this. Okay, let's get this here. And let's bring this up so that it fits in the window a little bit better. Get it kind of to fit. All right. It's the exact same copy. I just literally just copy and paste it here because the toolbox over here, this is a list box. It's custom drawn list box, but it is a list box. And it does support it's a list box, but I call this more of a toolbox, and this is a floating toolbar. This actually supports other things. You can toggle things on, you can toggle it off, so you can set the state of the actual list box item. You can have an image and then, of course, text. You can, I think there's something else that I was gonna say this could do, but, it eludes me at the moment. Um, but it's basically the same thing. So you just copy and paste, which is what I did here. So you can see plugin install. This is actually the name of the toolbar. So toolbars are specific to a control, and the name of that control is assigned with a localization when the control is made. It's just the name property. So here's the actual name of the item. This is the color group of the item. This is optional. And this is the menu items that you want to show. So if it's in a bracket like this, then it's standalone. If it's in one of these, like this, then it's going to show a menu. So to kind of show you how this works, let me make this big again here real quick. All right, let's drop this. So to show you how this works, you can actually see the options. And if you scroll up over, see there's the name. So it basically it's not a true hover event, but it simulates a hover. And I had to do it with I actually had to do it with the mouse move because the hover event, the actual hover quote quote event that's fired off by the Windows message by Windows by the kernel. It only fires off an event once you move from control to control. So this is a control, that's a control. If I had mouse hover on this, mouse hover on this, it will fire that off. It'll fire it off once I move here, but it doesn't know what item I'm sitting on. It'll fire it off when I go in here, but it doesn't know which of these options. And these work exactly the same way as these buttons because they use the exact same menu system. So you could have a generalized toolbox, especially like over here where I have tools where you can actually see user tools you can fire off. And it's real easy to add. You just add, select a program, it drops it in, and then you can remove it from the list if you want. It's pretty simple stuff. Um, these generally, the problem I was having here is this can get pretty big and you have to kind of go back over here if you want to grab one of these. But these are generally geared towards specific items. So if I was to click on, let's say, this particular plugin, then this menu here, let me get up here, you can see the full menu. This menu here would literally be almost pretty much specific to that particular item I've clicked on. Where these can be specific to items or they can be general. That's what this is. So this is more specific, although these can be general as well, because you specify in the text file exactly what you want to do when something is clicked on. So you can do something specific towards a particular plugin, or you could do something general towards your whole load order. Or, I could even go in here and put where if I select an option, it literally loads a game. It'll swap the game out. Just like over here, it would swap a game if I clicked on it. Because if I click on one of these buttons, that's exactly what it does. It launches a function code and an op code which says I want to swap the games. So it's not really hard coded in the app. It's just in a function code. And you've probably seen the same thing when I was tinkering around with that master list utility. Whenever you selected a game, it swapped over to the game. Um, okay, so this right here is part of the theme system. You could specify a specific theme to load a specific background, but this is part of the theme system, and I'll get into more of that later. But to show you how this is, this is exactly the same function as this over here. I just did a copy and paste. See what it says switch lists? Except this doesn't have a mouse over. I'll add that later to put a little bit of a description, but this basically is, see, you know, it says switch list, that's the name of the tag, and I just put the tag name up here. You can specify what I call a shorthand description. It does allow you to put a shorthand description in this file. So you can, let me move this down here just a little bit and make sure that, whoops, not that. We don't want that. We want this. It's kind of hard to see that. But you can go over here and you can actually put like a shorthand description, or you would just type in shorthand equals and then whatever you want the description to be. And if that shorthand doesn't exist, it defaults to the tag name, which is, on our toolbars here. Let's go up. I think this right up here. Yeah, toolbar menu. So you put like shorthand equals and then a short description. And if there's no description, it uses that. It's pretty simple stuff. I tried to kind of think ahead of what could possibly be used. But this right here switches the list. So we'll go back in here. This switches the list. So all I have to do is click this. Oops, where'd you go? Now, this is one of the things that I have to, I'm probably going to move this down here just a little bit because, again, this is custom draw and it will overwrite, it does overwrite this menu bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the lists. And that's what it does. It just calls that function code and allows me to switch back and forth between load order and install order. So it's kind of basically the same function here. And this was just to test it. And if you click over here, you can see select load order. So it's the exact same option that is over here. This was just to test it. So it's the exact same menu. I just brought it over here. And it's the same for load. Exact same thing. So this was where this is where I wanted to make list specific options. Well, they could be list specific, but I wanted to have a method or the functionality to have list specific options. So you can have list specific options here, you have item specific options or list specific options here, and then it's the same here. So you can have list specific options because this toolbar is for this list view, just like this toolbar over here. And you just toggle it on and off. It's part of the framework. It's the code is actually in the utilities library. The framework for the interface literally just calls toggle. It just calls that toggle function, and then it's up to the utilities library to do the rest. So you can toggle it on and off at any time. I do have it set up to capture key presses, so I do want to have escape exit out. So I have to put that in the framework. I haven't worked that in yet. I'll probably do that like sometime tomorrow. And that way you can just hit escape and automatically closes that toolbar. You don't have to do like a control P. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's toolbars. So each 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 list view, in a sense, almost every list, which you can't see all the lists on the screen because I do have it focused on just the main application, but all the secondary forms, which are generally reports that you would normally see on a, on a full screen, every one of those can have their own toolbar. And also, if you go over to here and you split this list out, it was something I added a while back because the way, and the reason I added it is because the way this is laid out, um, like for example, if I'm looking at availables and I go, let's say over here to downloads, look at downloads list, and I'll fix this, but like downloads list, um, you can't really see the availables anymore. So you can't really go over here and select available. So what I wanted, not that one, that one. And I do have it set up for keyboard shortcuts, but you can change that. But anyways, but onto this, you can break this out to its own window, its own form. And then therefore, and I showed that a little bit, I showed that earlier. And then you can put a toolbar onto that. So any list you can have a toolbar. So you can put a floating toolbar on top of that, and then you can hop over and you can be selecting downloads. Because like right now, if I go in and I activate one of these downloads, if I click on this, it will build the folder for me. And it does fire off the faux mod if it's a faux mod. It's the same utility that I uploaded earlier, or it tries to build it if it's not a faux mod. But it'll actually put it over here and you have to flip back and forth. So that's kind of one of the side steps of it at the moment. But by breaking it out, you can just leave this. Let's say you can just move this over here out of the way. You can just stick it over here, and then you can click, hit downloads, and then you can go down here and add it. There is configuration file that's been set up. It's been set up for, like I say, for a while. And it does allow you to, if you activate, if you extract a mod, like let's say I click on a download file, in the configuration file, you set it up to automatically activate whatever you extract. and it'll activate it. And then once it's activated the mod, if there's any plugins in the mod, it'll automatically try to sort them into your load order. And I'll cover the sorting later. It's really not designed to replace loot or anything like that, but it gets you in the general ballpark. And that saves a lot of moving things around. You can sort to category, you can do those kind of things. Uh, and I'm probably going to change a lot of that. I'm going to probably change how it's done to make it a little bit more manageable, I think. But you can sort to categories, you can sort to groups, you can sort to yeah, you can sort. It's a kind of a very basic sort for plugins. But that's pretty much toolbars. That gives a brief introduction of what it is, and you can kind of see just a proof of concept, kind of a demoing of it. I don't know if I'm gonna do much to it. I do want to break off. I still got some other coding I need to do, and I need to break off and probably play around with some graphics a little bit so I can probably put the backgrounds in, the actual backdrop or wallpaper, if you want to call that, back into these other, you can't really see here, but like, let's say this is like in this list view here, if it didn't go all the way down, better yet, I can show you probably one of these. Yeah, I'll show you in this one. See, so this doesn't have it just doesn't have any data here, so it would actually show part of that wallpaper here. So that's what I'm gonna work on probably coming up, and that way I can kinda at least get the graphics in there before I go back in and redo the items, so that way it doesn't bleed over, doesn't have column bleed over. You can adjust the columns, I mean, you can do this, but it'll still have column bleed over. So, and it only happens on this first item, so I'm pretty sure it's in the draw item method. I'll have to take a look. It's custom. All that's custom. Um, yeah, so that's kind of it. You can now the one thing it doesn't do, excuse me, one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't really know that you've switched lists. So this isn't like list specific. And like I say, I'm probably gonna make this smaller here, so that way this starts down here on this first item and then goes to the end. So, and that way it won't get automatically overwritten by scrolling over that. That way it looks like it's more dedicated. I just did this kind of like just the client size, but which is like from the actual display area. So I'm probably gonna have to. I am gonna fix that because I don't like how that gets chopped whenever you scroll over that. Okay. Alrighty. So that gives you a first look. If you've got any other ideas or things you think might work, just give me a holler and let me know, and I'll see what I can do. All right, guys. I hope you have a good one.